With freezing temps coming to New England, we have to get our wood stove into our Airstream. We went with tiny wood stoves, 3 kilowatt dwarf model, and we're super excited to get all of the vibes into our beautiful 1972 Airstream. But first, we're gonna show you our hearth.
This is our hearth. Underneath we have wood storage, cooking stuff, plumbing stuff, all sorts of goodies. We built a pantry along the side of the shower wall, and to protect all of this wooden material, we had to install a hearth and heat shields. Our hearth, we used 1/2-inch cement board, and on top of that we used a sheet of .032 aluminum, which is the same stuff that the walls and exterior are made of. The purpose of the heat shield is to prevent any wood from catching fire from being in close proximity to the stove. For that, we used the same .032 aluminum, just like the bottom, and we used 1-inch spacers we bought from Lowe's and bolted them right to the pantry wall. These front aluminum extrusions are actually from the original Airstream's front couch area, and we just cut them up and repurposed them to clean up all of this. And as a nice little touch, we decided to add on a piece of tile on the floor. That way, if we ever open the stove and an ember decides to fly out, it lands on the tile and not on the floor. And also, this is officially the floor reveal of our Airstream. We went with some waterproof vinyl planking that we got from Lowe's.
Now that we've shown you the hearth, we're gonna go ahead and assemble our wood stove, and this is gonna be a per the instructions situation, so we'll catch you back. We'll come back once it's all done and we're ready to do our initial burn.
Okay, so here's our ash handle and the ash bucket, which is down here. So it lifts up and out, a little windy. This is the riddling grate controls, which moves this little plate back and forth to shake the ashes into the ash bucket. This prevents the logs from falling out. The logs are gonna sit on here. This adjusts airflow, as did these down below. Oh, I gotta loosen that. Oh, it's a little tight. I might have to loosen that a little. I will say these directions are actually really, really good. They give you pretty much a step-by-step installation guide towards the whole thing. It's also available online in case you're like me and you tend to misplace things. But I didn't lose this one, but it actually reads pretty well too. Pretty impressed overall with the instructions. The one thing I will say that it did not tell me how to install, which I had to just look back and forth at the diagram on page 2 for all the parts list, was the riddling grate, which allows you to move some ash without having to open up the whole stove. We're gonna dry fit everything before we put it all together. So since we have a rear mounted stove, we need to use this T. When we're connecting these, all of these corrugated, serrated, whatever you want, crimped edges are the parts that face down, and that's to prevent buildup of creosote. So we need at least 40 to 60 inches is what they recommend for optimal stove height. Oh, it's gonna be nice to have this fire going.
Yeah.
So this is the stove cement that Tiny Wood Stove sent us. Basically, this stuff cures at the same rate and temperature as the paint on the stove. So they recommend doing this outside because it stinks. They say it's non-toxic, but it gives off a bad smell. We're gonna start with a small kindling fire, and then we're gonna work our way up to a nice roaring hot fire to cure everything. Should take a couple hours.
I can knead it for you.
Okay. You'll knead and cut, and I'll dampy, wampy, wipey, wipe?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know. All right. Looks relatively straight.
Ready, Freddie? I've a muffin.
Look, it's chimneying.
Oh, yay!
So cool.
So cool.
How freaking pumped are you, Megan?
I'm so pumped.
Oh, me too.
I'm not gonna lie, this is so cute. Look how cute this little thing is. I'm so pumped. So right now, we're at 195. We need to keep it at 450 for the first hour and then crank it up to 600. I think we take our time with this and see where we get tonight. Last night we completed our burn and all of the smells should be gone. There might be some lingering smells when we start the fire inside, but those should go away with time. We actually did our burn for 3 hours. The recommended was 2, but since we were burning daylight, we decided to just keep it going. You might have thought that this is the hole that we're gonna use, but it's actually not true. This was actually an existing hole from the vent from the kitchen when we originally took it apart. We're gonna have to figure out exactly where the new hole is gonna be and finally get to use it inside.
Alright. We found the exact center of the stove compared to the little drawer down below, so it looks real nice. We just need to figure out exactly where the hole's gonna be. So it looks like we need to go back up on top, line it up to now the center of the pipe. So scoot it over so it's in line with this. Slightly left, right there. Nope. Slightly left, slightly left. That's perfect.
Are you doing plumb bob or light?
I don't know, I'm kind of curious how the light thing works. Yeah, that's actually it. That looks like it to me. I'm gonna go up to the roof, I'm gonna make sure that our solar panel wires aren't in the way, and then I'm gonna drill a hole, small little hole up to find the center, and then we'll make sure that we're good from the top down. So bottom up looks fine. We know we have solar panel this way, nothing this way. Yeah, that's our spot right there, yeah?
Yep.
Of course. Of course.
Of course.
All right. We're gonna attempt the shorter section. Oh, I think that's like a perfect fit.
Smile. Yay. You're so silly. Our hole is finally cut. Hopefully it works and we're gonna just stuff it into the ceiling.
And then from the top, I'm going to use this silicone pipe boot, which will act as our water seal on the top.
Up higher and stop. Now straighten and down. Very, very nice. Okay, now I'm gonna twist it.
Installing this roof support has probably been the most challenging part for us. The thickness of this clamp was too much to fit into the ceiling, and I didn't want to put it underneath the pipe boot on the outside, because if we ever need to maintain it or anything, we'd have to remove the pipe boot, and that's going to be really, really sealed and watertight. Just going to bolt this down and then move on to actually securing the outside, and then I think we're done. All right, we have to anchor it. Something we didn't think to do earlier was take these leveling foot bolts out. So if you're doing this and you're gonna anchor it, you gotta take these bolts out of the feet.
To anchor, we bolted it down to our hearth and then reinstalled our flue. We have everything in place, we just have to connect it. And boy, am I ready for the vibes tonight. Okay, push it down. And then we've got these clamps here. Yeah, we're good, babe. To be honest, this install has taken a little longer than we thought it would. And I think it's because we're installing this on a pretty major pitch. So it's been quite the challenge. That is not going anywhere. Honestly, I think it's really cute. We've been kind of, not joking, but looking around at this Airstream and just being like, dang, this thing is cute. But it just got cuter.
It looks awesome.
You love it?
Yeah. Alright, we're ready to party. I think it's a vibes.
I'm gonna show you guys the accessories that we got with Tiny Wood Stove. First, because this is a mobile home, we have a detachable chimney and a rain guard up there. And it came with a bag, which is pretty sweet. I'm all muffined up, if you guys haven't noticed. It's just really chilly in here. We have a little ash dustpan, and they make it out of scrap metal that they have lying around in the warehouse. We have a wood stove thermometer, which Matt's gonna install right now. The dwarf also came with a little mitten. It's a little too big for my hands, but I'm sure Matt can make some use out of it. Oh, the fan! Okay. This is the coolest one. This is a fan that you can put on top of the wood stove, and it'll circulate air, and it powers through the heat from the wood stove. It's pretty cool. And we got like the large version. If you guys use our code MEGMAT, you guys will get a surprise accessory in your order when you buy through Tiny Wood Stove. And it is also stackable with other wood stove coupon codes. So if you find one on their website for a dwarf, you can definitely stack that with our code that will get you a free accessory, whatever they have lying around in the warehouse. We got a little ash bin from Lowe's, which I think is super cute. It's super aesthetic. We also have their pokey stick. Last but not least, we got some fire starters and a lighter and a matchbook.
All right, so this is a stove thermometer. This basically makes sure that we know exactly how hot our stove is. And then it kind of gives little indications of, you know, are we burning too cool? Are we going too hot? I was reading on the website that we're going to be kind of on the cooler end because it's such a small stove. Oh, it's a magnet.
Oh. Okay, I've got our first kindling fire going, and I'm super excited to see how this works and if it's going to be a significant enough heat source in our 23-foot Airstream. That's 23 feet tongue to bumper. We have 19 feet of living space on the inside. We're going to test it out for the next 2 days and then let you guys know what our findings are. It's also supposed to snow, so the vibes are in the air for this week.
Probably going to be the best tasting egg I've ever had. Oh, those look so good. Thank you.
I think the key to cast iron X is fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the steak leftover bits from last night with the garlic and the rosemary and just the meat juice. I'm excited for all the things we can cook on that stove. Overall, I think that this wood stove is an absolute amazing addition to our Airstream. We have a 23-foot Airstream. The interior square footage is roughly 152 square feet. And this tiny little stove does a great job getting it super hot in here. Right now, it is cold and wet and snowy outside. We even have all of our windows vented to remove some of the condensation, and it's still toasty enough for me to be in just a t-shirt. You can't beat the vibes of a tiny wood stove, especially in a tiny space. It just feels right. The install really wasn't that bad, but it did take a ton of planning, which was a little difficult based on our unique situation with our solar panels, our slanted roof, our bathroom, our pantry, our windows. There's just a lot of thought that had to go into it. But if this was in a tiny home and it was just square walls and a normal slanted roof, I think it would be a super easy install you could definitely bang out in one day. In my opinion, the only downside to a tiny wood stove is the learning curve. It's probably going to take us a good amount of time to figure out how to efficiently burn a fire to where we can sustain a fire throughout the entire night.
I want to share a little review of my initial thoughts of the wood stove. I think a big pro for me is being able to cook on the wood stove. I love to cook, and I really cook all day long. Ask Matt, he does all my dishes for me. He doesn't complain that much.
I don't complain at all.
You don't complain at all, I know. There's a lot of learning that goes into owning a wood stove, and I think that's the same if you have a wood stove in your house or your rig, but having a small wood stove particularly has a lot of set of rules. Like, I made some fire starters out of wax and sawdust yesterday, and then we were reading that we really shouldn't be using anything wax binding in the wood stove, which is fine. We'll just use those fire starters for outside campfires. A part of the reason why it's so much maintenance is because you have to cut your wood to a certain size, and that obviously takes up a bit of time. And you have to basically chop up a lot of wood to make sure you have enough for a few days if you don't want to be chopping every single day. Anyways, I'm burning right in front of this fire, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let us know if you would put a wood stove in your tiny home. I mean, the vibes is right. The vibes is just up there. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel because we're going to be doing a lot more content on this wood stove, including a lot of cooking stuff. So we'll catch you in the next one. We are almost done with this Airstream restoration series. It's been a long time.
Now we just have to fix the cabinets.
Oh yeah. We have some things to fix.
This is the coziest thing in the Airstream ever. It's super cozy. It's too cozy. We don't want to do anything else. I don't even want to travel. I want to stay here forever. I just want to sit and enjoy this wood stove. Drink a little wine. Watch some Sopranos. Gabagoo.
It's a vibe, isn't it?
It's such a vibe.